Good evening. Firearms save lives. In the last 90 days, there have been 88 instances where a firearm has been used in self-defense. Furthermore, there is approximately 500,000 to 3 million cases a year where a firearm is used to defend a home or a life in a household. Since I was young, my father taught us all firearm safety, safe storaging for firearms. We frequently visited gun ranges to practice. My older brothers went hunting with my father out in the wilderness. Some of these background stories and cases that I've had give me established credibility for me to talk about this problem with you. In recent times, we've seen a total polar shift in our society with regards to firearms. One side of the spectrum believes in little government intervention and the basics or the fundamentals of the Constitution. On the other side of the spectrum, individuals believe that government has the right and duty to create rules and regulations for our society and to help the well-being of our people, our citizens. The Second Amendment was written, and I quote, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." A simple interpretation of that I come up with is that a firearm is a fundamental right that our Constitution gives us, or an amendment gives us. As a right, every citizen of this country has the ability, if they so choose, to own a firearm. In the next few minutes, I'll be discussing examples of how firearms have been demonized in our media, in our culture, without any regard to analysis of statistics kept by law enforcement, readily available. Specifically, I will be discussing FBI statistics on firearm use in regards to self-defense. I will also talk about some of the statistics that are not frequently shown in the media. After I introduce my speech, I will outline the extent of the problem, showing how commonly used tools that we use every day to search for news are skewed one way. Many, if not all people in this country use the internet to obtain information and news. One simple search that I used here, a Google search for gun stories, shows almost no positive gun stories available. It's not to about the 60th page that I was able to find one story on a positive use of a firearm where it was used to prevent an attacker at a business. This is a simple Google search, but across other search engines and across other news outlets, you will see similar conditions where, again, firearms are demonized or not seen in a good light. U.S. media has perpetrated this in many cases. They've used or have frequently publicized more of the negative about firearms in regards to murders or crime, things of that nature. But again, FBI statistics show that 1.5 million instances where a firearm is used in self-defense a year. This is rare data that is rarely published by news outlets or Google searches or things of that nature. 2013, the CDC came up with a research paper to talk about how guns are more frequently, hundreds of times more frequently used in cases to prevent crime or to save a life. At a personal level, some of the potential solutions I believe that we would need to enact to prevent the demonization of firearms is to actually do your own research. I challenge you to, do your own research, and there's many statistics out there that will show you that it's not all what the media shows or portrays. Do your own deep research to establish more unbiased opinions. I believe that if people were to review some of these data and statistics analysis, they would have a different understanding of firearms and how they can be a benefit of a home, of a community, of the nation. As I bring my speech to an end, I will conclude by restating my thesis. Firearms for many, many years have been seen in a negative light. The media constantly pushes the demonization of firearms. However, again, looking at statistical data, firearms are used in far more cases of self-defense than in criminal acts. I provided a little bit of closure by stating that I believe that an individual researching this information more so would have different opinions of firearms that is constantly seen in the media in negative light. This is the research paper that was written for the CDC, and one of the quotes has an average of 1.5 million instances where firearms is used in self-defense. I call on every individual that's watching this speech or has an interest in learning more, whether you're pro-gun or anti-gun, anti-firearm, to research independently. That way you have more accurate data to come to your own conclusions and not necessarily rely on some biased media or biased news outlets that tend to skew the anti-gun narrative versus pro-gun. This, of course, not only gives you better understanding, but it actually enforces you as an individual to have better understanding of each other's positions and have a clear understanding of what the actual data shows. Thank you very much.